Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good morning. Today our group would like to present about chapter 10, thinking skills. Our group has 3 members, which is the first one is Muhammad Alif Shazwan bin Muhammad Azhar. The second one is me, Muhammad Ishraf bin Ismail. The third one is Muhammad Hakimi bin Hairuddin. Okay, the first point is I will pass to Muhammad Hakimi.
Thank you, Ishraf. Today, I would like to present about definition of each topic. De Bono, 1976, distinguishes thinking from knowledge and intelligence. He defined it as achieving a desired mental state or result. Thinking skill, however, excludes such everyday type of thinking as daydreaming. The skill covered here are broad and complex. They are not as narrow as reasoning skill, or even more narrowly confined to knowing the rule of logic and avoiding logical error. They encompass, in the intellectual sense, knowing what to do, when and how to do it, what tool to use, and the consequences. De Bono, 1976. Okay, next. For the concept, thinking skill include problem solving, job tasks, planning and organizing, finding information, critical thinking, significant use of memory and decision making. Use a thinking process to solve problem, organize and plan. Find needed information, be logical, remember, think, and make decisions. Next, for the next point is critical thinking. Critical thinking, the use of cognitive skill and strategies that increase the probability of desirable outcome. Next.
Sorry.
Okay. How to improve critical thinking? The mastery of critical thinking is similar to the mastery of many other skills. There are 3 important components how to improve critical thinking. First is theory, second is practice, third is attitude. Next. For the next point is 4 essential components of critical thinking. Next. First point is develop your inference skill. Create a logical connection between what you observe, know, and what you do not know. Second point is examine your opinion and belief. Open your mind to the new way of thinking. Third point is recognize emotional appeal. Evaluate logically and clearly. For the fourth point, look for what is not said. Some may deliberately omit essential information. Okay. For the next point, I leave it to my friend.
Thank you, Muhammad Hakimi. Okay, for my part is problem solving. There is a part which is we should solving the problem, and there is a process for solving a problem, which is the first one is specify the problem, and the second one is analyze the problem, and the third one is formulate possible solution, and the fourth one is evaluate possible solutions, and the last one, we should choose a solution that can solving the problems. The second one is type of thinking skills. The first one is focusing skills by attending to selected pieces of information and ignoring others. By defining problems, clarifying needs, discrepancies, or puzzling situation. And we should setting our goals to establishing direction and purpose. The second point is information gathering skills. By bringing the consequences, consciousness, the relative data needed for cognitive processing. By we observing, obtaining information through one or more senses. And we should formulating questions by seeing new information through inquiry. The third point is remembering skills by storing and retrieving information. And we should encoding by storing information in long-term memory and by recalling and retrieving information from long-term memory. The fourth one is analyzing skills by clarifying existing information by examining parts and relationships. And we should identifying attributes and components by determining characteristic or the parts of something. And we should identifying relationships and patterns, recognizing ways elements are related. And we should identifying main ideas. And we identifying the central element, for example, the hierarchy of key ideas in a message online or line of reasoning. And we should identifying the errors by recognizing logical fallacies and other mistakes and where possible correcting them. The fifth point is organizing skills by arranging information so it can be used more effectively by comparing noting similarities and differences between or among entities and classifying by grouping and labeling entities on the basis of their attributes and by ordering sequencing entities according to a given criterion. And we should be presenting by changing the form but not the substance of information. The sixth point is generating skills by producing new information, meanings, or ideas. And we inferring by going beyond available information to identify what may reasonably be true. And we predicting by anticipating new next events or the outcome of a situation. And the last one is we elaborating by explaining by adding details, examples, or other relevant information. The seventh point is integrating skills by reconnecting and combining information. And we summarizing all the combining information efficiently into a cohesive statement and structuring, changing existing knowledge structures to incorporate new information. And the last point is evaluating skills by assessing the reasonableness and quality of ideas. By establishing criteria, we should setting standards for making judgment. And the last one is verifying by confirming the accuracy of claims. The next part is thinking skills. There is a sixth point of the thinking skills, which is the first one is understanding the comprehensions. The second one is applying. We're applying to a new situation information that you have memorized and understood. The third one is analyzing, by examining what you have learned by studying relationships. For example, we make a self-test to ourselves. The fourth one is evaluating by making a judgment, which is we compare our first result and our old result, our new one and the old one. And the fifth one is creating, by we putting ideas together to form something new. And the last one is remembering, which is memorization, all the things that we already learned or think about it. The next part is using levels of thinking, which is the first one is we create, which is the high order of thinking levels. We creating our own ideas or provide our own viewpoint, which is the verb is construct, design, create, develop, write, and formulate. The second one is evaluate, which is still the higher order of the thinking levels. By justify our own viewpoint or decision. For example, evaluate, appraise, argue, judge, select, and support. The second one is analyze. Analyze also is still the higher order of the thinking skills, which is by the distinguish between different aspects or parts. For example, we compare, contrast, examining, experiment, question, criticize, and test. The fourth one is apply, which is apply is the middle order of the thinking skills. By use information or use information in a new way. For example, use, demonstrate, illustrate, and operate. And the fifth one is understand, which is of the middle order of the thinking skills. By we explain idea or concept. For example, explain, classify, recognize, and report. And the last one is remember, which is it is the lower order of the thinking level. Remember is remember or recall the information that we have already learned. For example, recall, we make a list and we repeat the topic that we already learned and we reproduce and also state. Based on the pyramid at here, I found it on the Google. So the next point I will pass to Muhammad Alif.
Okay, thank you, Ishraf. So for my part is creative thinking. Creative thinking refers to using abilities and soft skills to come up with new solution to problems. The focus on creativity and innovation is important because most problems might require approach that have never been created or tried before. Creative thinking is a skill, and like any other, it needs constant exercise to stay sharp. Such a process is made easier with the use of certain techniques. Next. For example, is brainstorming. This technique can be very useful in small or large scale problems that require creative solutions. The main goal is to form a group of people and throw around ideas without interference. The general idea of brainstorming is that by having an excess of creative potential solutions, it gets easier to reach one with the highest level of quality. Next is thinking. Sometimes the answer to it. That is the general idea of lateral thinking, which is a great way to exercise your creative soft skills and come up with innovative plans. Then is mind mapping. The process of mind mapping helps you connect ideas you never imagined could be combined. Because of that, it might help you reach appropriate solutions while using creative thinking skills. Next.
Right.
Next part is characteristic of creative people. Creativity can come in all shapes and forms, bring all sorts of ideas to the surface, any inspire change in the world. But creativity is also a vague term because of how many outlets there are, and with that comes two things: a challenge and an opportunity. For example, first is So for example is, number one is energetic. Creative people have a certain energy surrounding them. They tend to radiate a great deal of energy and put their whole heart into what they expend their energy on. Second is intelligence. Being intelligent is another characteristic of being creative. There is an array of wisdom within the mind of a creative person, much like a gift that is hard to find. And next is sensitive. While being intelligent is a dominant characteristic, creative people also have a submissive side to them. They are sensitive to many things because their hearts are constantly open to the world. And next is ambitious. Creative are highly ambitious in their pursuits. They are always looking for the next project. They are always looking for the next project and have an eager hand. Almost nothing discourage their preference to try something new. And last is naive. Another submissive characteristics many creative have is to be naive. Being naive can be a very dangerous thing in this world, and creative people tend to fall into that naive pool quite often. Next. So for the last part is how to inculcate creative thinking or mind. We have many types at there, which is commit yourself to creativity, reward your curiosity, build your confidence, overcome a negative attitude, brainstorm new ideas, become an expert, take risks, make time for creativity, fight fear of failure, and the last is explore multiple solutions. So that's all from us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much and have a nice day.